What's up, YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC Fight Night Poirier versus Duffy. The first fight is Bubba Bush versus Gareth McKellen, and Gareth McKellen. Both these guys, I've only seen them fight that one time in their UFC debuts. Gareth McKellen looked decent. I think he's just a little overmatched against. I can't remember who his opponent was, but he looked good everywhere. He looked like he had good boxing, good wrestling, and good jiu-jitsu. He's just a little overmatched. Bubba Bush, I don't really know what to think because his first fight in the UFC he got knocked out by Kevin Casey, and that's a jiu-jitsu guy, so that tells me a lot about Bubba Bush. I feel like just based on those two fights, I can tell that Gareth McKellen looks like a decent prospect, and Bubba Bush is just probably not at the same level. So I'm going to pick Gareth McKellen. I say he probably wins by knockout. Next is Darren Elkins versus Robert Whiteford. Whiteford's got really good boxing and judo, solid takedown defense, but I think Darren Elkins will be able to get this fight to the ground, and I think Robert will probably try to hit a takedown sooner or later because he's the type of guy that goes for takedowns, and I think that's a bad mistake. I think Darren Elkins has got good jiu-jitsu off his back, and I think sooner or later this fight's going to hit the mat, and when it does, Darren Elkins is going to take over. So I got Darren Elkins winning by submission. Next is Cathal Pendred versus Tom Breezy, and this one is actually a lot closer than I think people probably think because nobody really knows who Tom Breezy is. This is his debut, but he's 8-0 with a lot of submission wins and a couple of knockouts. I'm still going to pick Cathal. I think just the overall experience he's had in the octagon will favor him, and I think his grinding style will be able to just keep him up against the fence. I think it'll be a typical Cathal Pendred fight, but don't count out Breezy. I mean, he could definitely pull off the upset. He's a solid prospect, but I don't pick Cathal by decision. Next is Aisling Daisy versus Erica Almeida, and Almeida looks decent, but she didn't look great in her debut. As were Daly, I think she kind of just was rushing her last fight, where I think that was a fight she could have won if she was just a little bit more patient. And I feel like she's probably learned from that fight, and we'll see her look good in this fight. This kind of just looks like they're kind of putting the prospect against the vet, and I think the vet's going to win. So I'm going to pick Daly by decision. Next is Scott Askren versus Krzysztof Jotko. And I'll pick Askren. I think this is basically a fight between two strikers, but Askren's just the better striker in my opinion. Jotko's got a lot of decision wins. I don't think he goes after it enough. And I feel like he's going to take his foot off the gas, and Askren's just going to go after him. So I'll pick Askren. I don't know if he'll finish him, but I think his just being more active and looking for the finish will get him the decision. Next is Neil Seery versus John De Los Reyes. And these guys pretty much have the exact same style. I just think Seery's the better boxer, and I think he's got the better conditioning. So I think I think the first two rounds will probably be really close, and then come late in the second, early third, you'll see Neil Seery start to take over and probably get the finish somewhere in the middle of the third round. This probably could be fight of the night, but I don't know. I think it's between this and probably the Patrick Houlihan and Louis Smolka. Next is Stevie Ray versus Michael LeBout, and LeBout isn't very good. He's basically just a jiu-jitsu guy with decent striking. I think Stevie Ray's got the much better striking, and I think grappling-wise they're probably even, so I'm going to pick Stevie Ray. I think he probably wins by KO in the first round. Next is Nicholas Dabley versus Darren Till, and Darren Till's a pretty good striker, but Nicholas Dabley's got really good karate and really good wrestling. I think he'll be able to keep the fight standing when he wants it and take the fight to the ground when he wants it. I think he's going to win a pretty clear-cut 30-27 decision. Next is Norman Park versus Reza Madadi. And in my opinion, Reza Madadi is undefeated in the UFC. His one loss was a bullshit loss, and his last win was against Michael Johnson. The last real win against Michael Johnson, because that other guy, I can't remember. He clearly lost to Michael Johnson, so I feel like Reza Madadi, hopefully the time off hasn't given him too much ring rust, because I thought he was a real solid prospect at this weight class. And Norman Park, his biggest weakness is that he doesn't put his foot on the gas. I think he's got great cardio and great striking and grappling, but he just doesn't go after it enough. And I think that's Reza Madadi's biggest strength, is that he goes after it. So I'm going to pick Madadi. I say he wins by decision. Despite the pressure alone, he'll just be scoring points while Norman Park is just not, doing enough. And next is Patrick Houlihan versus Louis Smolka. And I think these guys are the exact same style, and they're pretty similar. It's just Houlihan's a bit longer and taller, I think. To me, the big difference is on the ground. I think Smolka just is more efficient when it comes to fighting on the ground. I think Houlihan will fish for stuff, but he doesn't set it up very good, as where Louis will take position over just flailing around. And I think that, we saw that both, in Lewis's fight with Neil Seery, that's what he did, and that's why he won the fight. And in Houlihan, when he fought the Canadian guy, I can't remember his name, he was just flailing around for stuff, and he kept on winding on bottom or getting his back taken. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Lewis will be able to hit takedowns and get dominant positions. I think this will be a back and forth fight, but kind of like the fight with Neil Seery, Lewis is just going to be able to get the better positions all throughout the fight. So I'll pick Smoker by decision. Finally, the main event, Joe Duffy versus Dustin Poirier. I think these guys are pretty evenly matched. I think that pretty much tit for tat, skill for skill, they're basically the same fighters. I think Joe Duffy's the more physically strong guy when it comes to punching power and just his physique. I think it'll kind of be like RDA versus Pettis, where even though they're pretty even in a lot of areas, I just think the physical strength advantage goes to Joe Duffy, and I say that's what's going to probably win him this fight. I don't know if he'll finish Dustin, but I think that this could be, this is what I meant, not those, this is probably going to be fight of the night. This is what I think is probably going to be the fight of the night, and I think, like I said, tit for tat, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, they're probably dead even. I just think Joe Duffy's got the physical advantage. So I'm going to pick Duffy by decision, or late TKO, maybe in like the 4th or 5th. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.